Hello. Right, welcome to episode 19. Weather looks really nice out there today, so it should be a good weekend. Managed to sneak up here during the week last week because the school bus services we run, because all the kids are on holiday, I had a few moments to pop up here, and I managed to jet wash off once again the chassis on the offside of the RT. What I'm hoping to do today is put some silver on it, providing it's sufficiently clean. Shall we go at that? Finish off the inner wing, give that a respray and get that finished this weekend, so that's ready to go back in. And I plan to make a life-size diagram of the wiring in the cab. So that's the plan for this weekend. We'll see how we get on. Hopefully there'll be no mini disasters along the way. But anyway, it is progress because now I'm starting to put things back into the bus. So yeah, it makes you feel a lot sort of happier. Oh, there's one other thing I need to do. I've got some paint coming next week for the cab. So I just want to give the ceiling another rub down, so it'll be a bit of a sort of a wet job. But anyway, yeah, do that, and a couple other little bits and pieces in the cab. But like I just said, we are now getting to the stage where we can put the cab back in. So yeah, it's starting to look bright, just like it is outside.
And it did. It turned out to be two really splendid days. Like I say, it's sort of been a number of setbacks, things that you didn't expect to have to do, and removing this inner wing was something that I didn't really sort of plan to do in the first place. But nonetheless, when it came out, it was covered in mud, and I thought, well, it's not going back like that. So scraped all the mud off. And as you can see in this shot, here I am rubbing the thing back down again after putting a bit of hammerite on the edges where it had started to rust a bit. But structurally it's fine. It's going back on the bus. It's not going to be perfect, but it looked pretty good underneath. I'm going to spray this weekend. I'm going to spray the inside of the wings silver, but it does mean that I've got to clean off all the muck that was underneath. I did manage to sneak up one day in the week and spray the underside of the bus with the high pressure hose. So I got quite a bit of muck off, but when I arrived on Saturday, there was still, having flooded the floor, there was still quite a bit of muck still underneath which needed cleaning off. So removing that wheel arch has actually exposed quite a lot of the crud that's underneath, and this is the problem. It's like peeling an onion. Every time you take something off, you find something underneath that needs to be dealt with. Well, there we go. That's the fun of owning an RT. It's like a massive DIY project. So, some progress at least. Right, so having knocked off all of that mud using the high pressure hose and a paint scraper and various other implements like wire brushes and what have you, here's the front offside wheel assembly. I did both sides of it. This picture's only just this towards the front, but anyway, I did both sides. And while the spray gun was out, I did the auto lube as well. So here's a couple of sort of before and after pictures of the auto lube. Okay, so sticking with the cab, but getting into the cab this time rather than underneath the cab. Back to that wiring. The wiring is going to be a massive project, especially in the cab area, because there's a hell of a lot of them that sort of all go in there and then terminate. So, this is my little plan. What I've done is I've turned the RT wiring diagram, which I got from somebody, I can't remember who it was now. But anyway, I got that. I modified it at work, gave each cable a number. And now I have created a massive real life sized diagram with the conduit and everything in place, and I'll talk you through what all that's about.
Right, this is the life-size diagram that I've drawn, starting with the conduit just over the back of the driver's seat. The one at the top, which is in heavy outline, that is the one that runs from the near side of the cab. It runs right across to the offside. That carries quite a number of cables. You can see on there where I've made a note of which of the conduit is. In this case, the red K indicates it's cable conduit K, and then that refers to what I've got on my diagram here. Then I've got the numbers of the cables which I've used. I've made up my own numbers. They're not the ones that are on the RT wiring diagram because it didn't come with them. So I've numbered each cable. And the ones that are circled are ones where I've already got the cable and it's just outside the cab area. So it just needs to be drawn through when we do all these ones. I'm thinking of possibly making the whole lot on the bench, putting it all in, including the switch gear, and then moving it into the cab. But that does give me a problem with the ones that are already there, like say this one here, 37, that's one of the indicator ones. I think that's the supply to the interrupter unit, which is a thing that goes tick, tick, tick in the driver's cab. So that one will be an issue getting it in once I've got all the other cables in. So I shall work my way through that. Anyway, moving to the rest, I've got to bear in mind this is an exploded diagram. All right, so here are the two conduits. There's actually two of them there, marked T as two. So that's got some cables in it. I have quite a few, as you can see, just there. There's what, 1, 2, 3, 4 cables that are already inside the cab, ready to go into the conduit. Then we move across. This is the one to the left of the driver's head. And then we get into the main switch gear, which is where you've got all the switches and stuff like that. And then we move out across to the little lamp in the cab and the stop flag unit and the windscreen wiper. Now, just at the top there, those ones there, you notice they're all circled. All of those ones, they're the ones that come through from the destination box. So they're already in the cab. They're just waiting to go into that piece of conduit. Thankfully, most of them actually terminate here. So there's not a problem with running it through sort of further on conduit. The only one really is the indicators. And there are my lists of what goes where. Each one, as each one goes through a bit of conduit, I've made a mark on the this Excel graph so I can make sure that when I'm putting it together, I've got the cables in the right place. But it does go on. In fact, it's so big, it goes on down here as well. Look, there's your indicator. That's the turret. Then we go off to the other side. That goes round to the cab heater. So we've got all of those ones that run along the side of the driver's cab with the horn and the dip switch on it. Once again, you can see where I've got ones that are already in place, and you can see I've marked on there 25, 22, 18, 19. So they're the ones that go out to the headlights. One's to the near side, one's to the off side, and there's a power supply on there as well. So anyway, there we go. There is the exploded diagram. Well, hopefully not too exploded, but anyway. And now I'm going to lay that on the floor and then run each wire, and then each one will then go into the conduit bits. So there we go. So that's a little job done.
I actually recorded two of these, one with the conduit in place, this one, and another one with the conduit not in place. So hence you'll see my finger wagging in there just in a second. But this gives you a view of what it looks like with the conduit. So you can see how the diagram then sort of relates to these bits and pieces. That's the bit that sits down the side of the driver's seat with the horn push and the dip switch on it. They've got my list of things which I showed you earlier. That's done on Excel. That was my survey. This did take a lot longer. I mean, I know I keep talking about time. You know, you go up there and you think, oh, well, this will be done in 5 minutes. And you find there's another bit of conduit you didn't realise was there. So wires disappear and reappear somewhere. And if you're going to do this properly, you've got to find out where those wires go. So anyway, that's the conduit laying on top of the diagram. Right, so I think this is going to be the shortest ever video at just about just over 10 minutes. So anyway, next week I've got to clamber into this space here. This is the cab floor, as you may notice, with a little flap just slightly raised there. That rubber on the off side of the cab actually is in pretty good shape. The stuff on the near side is really badly deteriorated. So I've got to start tidying this up now. So that's another little job to do. Hell of a lot of runs in that, notice. It looks like someone's just got the old watering can and just tipped it over the side of the bus, doesn't it? But I've flattened it off, and now I've seen that, I'll flatten it off a little bit more as well, because it's not going to look good, that. So anyway, there we are. So thank you very much for watching this edition. Next week I shall hopefully progress with a little bit more wiring. I'm going to try and spray the inside of the wheel arches, both the rear one, which, because I got the wheels off of that, and the front one. I'm going to put some black underneath the wheel arches. I had a chat actually with a friend of mine, Mark Davis, about whether it should be silver or black, and I'm of the sort of the opinion that they should be black. So anyway, that's the update on the RT. Okay, before we go, I just want to make a quick mention to a good friend of ours in the bus preservation industry, somebody who I first met probably around 50 years ago when he was working as garage foreman at Walthamstow and Leighton. A great friend of bus preservation, a font of knowledge. His name's John Eason. Unfortunately, John Eason passed away on the Friday before I was filming this. John's made many comments on here and elsewhere, helpful comments, supportive comments. He's a great fan of bus preservation. He's a huge font of knowledge. Unfortunately, as I say, he passed away. It's a huge shame to lose somebody with so much knowledge, so much dedication to buses in general. Sorry, John. Rest in peace.